Good evening, family. What's up? This is Gina Ifoe, the one and only African superstar, back at it again with another Unpopular Opinions. First, big shout outs to the African superstar family, those of you guys who have been supporting me long time, long time. Much love, much love. Today, I want to talk about this topic because I think that a lot of Westerners don't really think it through. And I got into a conversation earlier with a friend of mine who lives in Europe. And we were talking about how the system is designed for immigration, for instance. Um, Americans make a big deal out of immigration, Europe does as well. However, the West is totally complicit in this immigration vacuum, and I'm going to talk about it tonight. So today's topic is African deprivation equals Western interest. You're crazy if you think that the high level of immigrants in the Western world is by chance, is because all of these people are just coming, they're coming illegally, they're doing this stuff. No, no. What happens is a strategic vacuum that creates that phenomenon. And what it boils down to is cheap labor. Okay, because what happens usually with why most people migrate in the west to the West in the first place is due to economic issues. Okay, due to a lack of infrastructure in their home country, a lack of opportunities, a lack of job, a lack of education, and things like that. Difficulty of getting capital. Um, and you will look at typically countries that are a lot more stable, and you will be much less likely to interact with those people in the Western world. So, for instance, a lot of you that know Africans, a lot of you that know Mexicans, a lot of you that maybe know people from the Middle East, typically they're coming from countries where the economy is challenged. Okay. For instance, there's 54 nations here on the continent of Africa. There are so many countries that you guys have never met a citizen. Before I migrated from America to the UK, there were tons of Africans I had never met. I had never met a South African in America. I had never met a Kenyan in America. I had never met, still to this day, I've never met people from like Mozambique, people from Cape Verde, people from Libya. There's several countries where apparently the people are content living where they are because they are not excessively migrating. Now, unfortunately, in most places in the world, you will meet Ghanaians, you will meet Nigerians, you will meet people from like the Congo or Sudan. There's conflicts in certain countries, which creates a different type of vacuum. But this economic vacuum is all for the benefit of the West. Okay. There are also strategic things that they set up that make it so blatantly obvious. For instance, all right, now most people here in Africa, by the time they migrate, especially if they're adults, they've already completed their higher education, which means they're college graduates, if not postgraduates. They may have master's degrees, they may have PhDs. When they get to the Western world does not honor these degrees, which essentially renders them uneducated, which streamlines them into jobs that they have to do without educational qualifications, warehouse work, care work in the UK, manual work, these kind of things, the night shift, the undesirable jobs. Because the reality is, for instance, if the West honored the degrees of, the continent, because they do honor degrees from Europe, they do honor degrees from Asia, from India, they will take those degrees and allow people to continue their career in the Western world with those degrees. When you're coming specifically from Africa, you have to start your education all over again in the West. They are streamlining these people into certain professions. Hello. And what it basically means is cheap labor. Okay? They're going to bring in the immigrants because of the deprivation in their own nations, the lack of opportunities, the lack of access, or difficulty getting jobs, or difficulty getting income. Okay, they're going to bring them to America. They're going to allow them in there. All right. And they're going to pay them less than what they would pay the citizens. And the citizens are going to, channel all their frustration on the immigrants instead of looking at the government and saying, wait a minute, what's going on? In reality, if, for instance, the Western world doesn't want all these immigrants, okay, they don't want all these people coming to their nations, right? Their best interest would to what? Invest in sustainable living in their home country, thereby eliminating the need to travel out. And let me tell you some of the nonsense that goes on here in Ghana. For instance, the U.S. Apparently sends a lot of aid money to Ghana, all right, supposed to be for various things, infrastructure, hospitals, schools, that kind of stuff, right? Every year, we know the U.S. gives a lot of money out to the world in general. Doesn't really focus its resources on its citizens and issues in its homeland, but it's constantly delegating money, constantly being involved in other people's affairs. Well, they donate, substantial money to Ghana, for instance. The very interesting thing about this is they continually donate this money to Ghana, although they are not seeing the fruit of this investment. So say, for instance, big shout out to the African Superstar family. We have 15 of you guys. If you're here, greet me in the chat room and make sure you hit the likes, and you can also support the stream if you would like. How many of you guys have student loans in the UK, in America, Canada? If you have student loans, let me see a number one. If you have student loans, let me see a number one, because I want to drive home this point. Big shout outs, guys. What's up, MP? I see you there. Mimi Roberts was the first in the chat room today. The math is not math, and we got 2 in the chat room and 15 viewing. Hello. Don't make me stop the show, guys, please. I beg. Okay, the first trivia question was, how many people have student loans? All 14 of y'all should be in this chat room, because I know y'all got student loans. If you come from the West, I know you got them. 99% of the population takes student loans. Antonio Mize, big shout out to you, brother. Yes, it's true. That's what I'm talking about tonight, because I see a lot of this like anti-immigrant Semitism. Big shout out to Tia. You had them. You paid them off. Congratulations, but you had them at a point. Okay. So I see all this like aggression aimed at the immigrants, and I'm thinking to myself, like, look, okay, it's not by chance that they are entering the country somehow. There are definitely people that sneak in, but you're not telling me that, hundreds of thousands of immigrants are illegally sneaking into the country. They are getting into the country through various channels that the government is allowing them to come in there. Okay, the government is also accommodating them, providing them housing and resources and healthcare and all of that. This is all strategic. And you should be focusing your energy on a different, it's not the immigrants' fault. Because the same reason that they're leaving their home nation 9 times out of 10 is based on what the West has created, the dynamics that the West has created. All right, so far, only MP, me, Tia, we're the only ones who had student loans out of all the rest of you guys in the chat room. Lord have mercy. Now, if you got student loans through Sallie Mae, Freddie Mac, whatever, whoever funded your student loans, okay, that money was designated for your education. In a lot of cases, that money will be sent directly to the university. In some private loans, they would actually, send it to you, and you would have to go to the registrar and actually pay your bill. But a lot of these student loans were already just diverted to the school, right? Because they were giving you that loan money for the premise of your higher education, all right? What the West does is gives Africa millions. Okay, they invest in millions, supposedly for this cause, that cause, this cause, that cause. They don't do any checks and balances to make sure that these things are happening, that the funds are going where they're supposed to be. Okay, and they continually, because the reality is, okay, let's look at the Salvation Army. Let's look at the American Red Cross. Okay, they've been supposedly doing initiatives in Africa for decades, right? But we can't see the fruit from what they are doing. I mean, how long does it take to create roads? How long does it take to build a school building? How long does it take to put electricity in or whatever? There are a lot of industries here in Ghana, for instance, that could be providing employment for the people. Okay, such as mining. We have a huge problem here in Ghana with illegal mining. It's called Galamsey. And some of you guys that are affiliated with Ghana or know anything about Ghana, or you may have seen through social media, basically a lot of the waterways are being polluted because of illegal mining. So why isn't there legal mining? Why isn't there security to prevent illegal mining? How to clean the water after it's being used in the mining process. I don't know a lot about mining, but I assume that there is a way to do it which will not pollute the surrounding environments. You see, all this stuff that goes on, guys, is strategic, okay? The West needs cheap labor. Hello, hashtag slave trade to keep itself afloat. Okay. The truth is, and I don't care which politician is coming and telling you whatever they want to tell you. The truth is that they don't want to pay Americans what they need, what Americans need to live. Okay. The type of wages Americans need to be able to survive in the country, they don't want to pay that. Okay, they want to pay basically obviously we see from history, if they don't got to pay you nothing, that's the ultimate dream of theirs. But since unfortunately for them, legal, slavery in that particular context is now illegal, and they cannot do that. I mean, they are doing it on the black market, small scale, not as they were in the past. But the bottom line is they need labor, and they need to be able to pay these people as little as possible. And again, because of the deprivation that is created in their countries, it creates the vacuum for them to want to migrate or need to migrate. In addition to the brainwashing that goes on through the media, has these folks in Africa, in the Caribbean, in the Latin world, in Mexico, thinking that when they come to America, it's a Hakuna Matata. Deliberately omitting so many things that's actually going to impact the immigrant when they travel. Okay, there's no news over here about the immigrant crisis in America, about them lining the streets in Chicago and New York and having nowhere to stay and all of this kind of stuff. That does not get communicated here in Ghana. Something else that doesn't get communicated in Ghana or Nigeria or anywhere else in Africa is the crazy gun violence and the racial construct. Those of you guys that have ever come to Africa and had conversations with continentals, you will see how completely oblivious they are to what's going on in the Western world. That's why when we come, They don't understand why we're here. They cannot fathom why we would leave the land of opportunity to come and be here on the continent. They are completely brainwashed about what the West is like. African deprivation equals Western interest. It's all strategic, guys. And I say this because a lot of you guys in the West, you need to understand this when you see immigrants and not be coming at them crazy. Okay? Coming at them like they're taking your jobs and coming at them like they're uneducated and coming at them like they are poor. Do you actually know that they are recruiting here in Ghana? Y'all know the little commercials before YouTube videos, like maybe my own YouTube video? There's commercials like, have you thought about continuing your education in Canada? Have you thought about moving to the US? Contact our agency to help you migrate to the Western world. Yeah, they're recruiting over here. They're recruiting over here. African Goddess said the other day, she's in Nigeria, and she said that the British Army is running adverts in Nigeria to recruit for the British Army. That's what a lot of you guys don't know in the Western world. They are actually soliciting these immigrants to come. Yes, they are. Providing them provisions and everything to come. Why? Cheap labor. At the same time, the Western, they are enterprising also in Africa. So guess what? The vacuum benefits them in so many ways. Okay? They're going to go ahead and move out the local population. They're going to go ahead and come with their dollars and their pounds and their euros. They're going to buy up the land. They're going to create the infrastructure. They're going to, basically design it for themselves. And they're going to take over. And in 20 years, Ghanaians are not going to have control of their country. Because they're moving out, the foreigners are moving in, and nobody sees what's happening. I.e., example, South Africa. Okay? The whites make up a very little part of their population, but they're controlling a lot of stuff in South Africa. They also heavily reside in Cape Town, which is the most scenic part of South Africa. And guess what? They've skyrocketed the property values, so local people can't even live in Cape Town. Hello, coming to a Ghana near you, coming to an African nation near you. It's all strategic. And you guys got to look at the bigger picture, because you're turning your aggressions on the wrong people. You're turning your aggressions on the wrong people. This is all strategic, guys. They're playing a game. The same people that have discouraged the diaspora from coming to Africa are the same people that are playing the Continentals. Same people. Huh? The same people that are complaining about immigration are opening the bloody gates for the immigrants to come and inviting them. Why are they running adverts over here in Africa for people to migrate to Canada and US when there's already so many immigrants that cannot even be accommodated lining the streets homeless in America? Why are they doing that? Huh? Ask yourself. Ask yourself. Because again, if, for instance, they really didn't want these people here, and they have been investing in these nations to get themselves self-sufficient or functional or boost the economy for decades. Decades. Why is it still not done? Why is no progress being done? Huh? African deprivation equals Western interest. It's all by design. Okay? They don't like, let me tell you this. White people in general do not like Black autonomous happiness. They cannot stand when we are functioning without them, well, successfully, and we're happy. They want to always be involved in whatever we're doing and have an understanding of whatever we're doing. So they insert themselves everywhere. We can see small examples of this in the workplace. 2 or 3 Black people chilling at the coffee pot, talking, fraternizing. Here comes Becky. Here comes Michael. They got to always know what we are doing. That's why they don't want Africa to flourish. That is why any, leader that steps up that says, you know what, we want to focus on our own country. We want to be self-sufficient. We want to manufacture our own products and, grow our own food. Guess what happens to them? You would think if they're really tired of immigrants, that they would want us to develop our own stuff so we could just be in our one corner. But they're obsessed, and that's why it doesn't go down. So I'm bringing this message to you guys so that you can, of course, think in a broader perspective, because it's not as it seems. And as always, I would promote you to begin to travel, because, see, travel will show you the exposure, okay? Travel will show you, oh my God, they're advertising to recruit people over here in Ghana. Oh my God, in Ghana, they do not show anything negative about the West at all. Oh my God, in Ghana, they have no idea. Like, people here in Ghana don't even know about the slave trade. They don't even know the extent of what happened. And that's why they're completely dumbfounded when we come here, because from their perspective, we're literally coming from the land of opportunity. We're rich, okay? We're privy to everything that white Americans have, okay? They don't even think about discrimination, racial, police brutality. They think what happened to George Floyd is an isolated event. They have no idea of the daily gun violence. They don't know about the chemically modified foods. I mean, they're completely oblivious. And some of you guys have probably encountered African people and thought they were stupid because they seem like they're aloof. No, it's because they literally do not know what's going on. This topic came up today because my neighbor, she is traveling to the UK tonight. It's her very first flight. And, I was trying to help her get prepared. I was explaining things to her, such as daylight savings time. I was explaining, different things on the airplane, different things, trying to give her a crash course, because she knows zero and she's in her early 30s. Imagine. It's all strategic. It's all strategic, guys. So I do realize that this immigrant situation in America is really, really frustrating, for citizens, obviously, because, you're seeing people come into the country and they're getting a lot of perks and accommodations that you, the citizen, don't get. Yeah, well, it's not their fault. Hello? It's not their fault. Your friends in the American government are recruiting them. Your friends in the parliament in the UK are recruiting them. Your friends in Canada are recruiting them. Yes. Yeah, some of them are coming and crossing the border. Others of them are flying. Like my girl, she's flying into the UK. Hello? African deprivation equals Western interest. If you actually think about how the immigrants in America are getting all these perks, they're getting all these accommodations, doesn't that sound like a sign-on bonus? Come to the US and we're going to give you this. We're going to give you free housing. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. A lot of talk about the Haitians that have been accommodated in Springfield, Ohio. Okay. Or is it Springfield or Illinois? I don't know which Springfield it is, but everybody knows. We've heard the comments from Trump about the Haitians in Springfield eating the dogs and the cats. The truth is, they have strategically been putting the Haitians into Springfield to revitalize the failing, dwindling population and economy. Hello. Springfield has been ravaged by the drug epidemic, and employers there were struggling to find reliable workers. So they strategically sent the Haitians. The Haitians did not come from Haiti and wander to Springfield. Hello? How the hell would a Haitian know where Springfield, Ohio is? Let's be real, guys. Think about it. How would they know? Unless someone's telling them, unless someone's leading them, unless somebody's guiding them. How the hell would they get all the way from Haiti all the way to Ohio without provisions, guys? Let's think about it. That's the truth of the matter. So all this hostility that I see from the Westerners towards immigrants, it's really crazy because the West is creating, deprivation in their home countries to vacuum them out for cheap labor. Duh. I mean, if you think about it, it couldn't be any more clear. Big shout out to the African superstar family. I'm going to start with the comments now. I see you guys have gotten active in the chat room. Much love to the family. We have over 25 of you today. Yeah, African deprivation creates, it's for Western interests, okay? For instance, in the UK, Africans, despite whatever educational background they have, overwhelmingly, they are in the healthcare field. Somebody say I'm lying. Somebody tell me, oh no, Gina, Africans they're working in every department in the UK. They're in the parliament, they're CEOing, they're in the business sector, they're in investments. African migrants, despite their educational background, and I already talked about it. Okay, I would be willing to say that because education is such a big deal over here on the continent. It's heavily promoted, and the young people and the students actually want to be high performers. They're very, very academic. They're into their studies. Okay, so by the time they migrate to America, Canada, and America, I mean in the UK, I'd be willing to say upwards of 85 to 90% of these people have higher education. The West deliberately undermines their education by not accepting their certificates from Africa exclusively. Because like I said, they take them from Asia, they take them from Europe. All right. Rendering them uneducated, so to speak. And then shuffling them into where? The healthcare field. I remember when I lived in the UK and I worked at a psychiatric hospital too. You didn't need any educational background to just get in there and work in the hospital, work on the wards. Obviously they had nurses and they had doctors and all of that, so you could train to be a nurse. But basically, they want the immigrants to go into the healthcare field because British people don't want to do it. And you see a similar phenomenon in the US. You see immigrants come in, they go, the Mexicans do construction. The Africans do healthcare, they do warehousing. Some of them obviously do invest in their education, become professionals and all of that. But the overwhelming amount of the immigrants that go into these Western worlds, they go into these particular fields that the local citizens do not want to do. That's the truth of it. And it's all by design. Okay? Think about it. If everybody had to be paid the same wage in America, country go broke. Businesses wouldn't get no profit. Okay? Why do you think the U.S. outsourced so much stuff to the Philippines? Huh? Because they could pay somebody over there $20 a month or whatever, $50 a month, $100 a month. No benefits, no retirement. And because of the currency exchange, it was going to be huge money. So what did they do? They outsourced so much stuff. They knew that was going to destabilize Americans. They knew that was going to impact, people's ability to live and all. They didn't give a damn because it's all about profits. They don't want Africa to be stable. They don't want Africa to be self-sufficient. Okay? They don't even want these migrants to stay in their own countries. No, they don't. They are behind it. They are facilitating it. They are in bed. They are creating the dynamics for these people to go. In addition, sheltering the reality of living in America, what that's really going to be like. Big shout out to the African superstar family. All right. Shout out time. If you're feeling this message, if you know what I'm saying is true, if you've learned something, make sure you hit the likes, subscribe, and support the stream. And you can leave your comments in here. I'm moving through. Once again, big shout out to Mimi Roberts. She was the first in the building. MP is in the building. First trivia question was, how many of you guys have student loans? I talked about how America gives aid to Africa, but does not oversee how that aid is used. That money might as well just be direct bribery money that goes to the government and does not have to be used correctly. And why they would continue to give this money when they see that the cause that money is meant for is not being taken care of is bizarre and crazy. Imagine us getting that, however much student loan money. I know when I went to the University of Cincinnati, I think in 2001, it was about maybe $20,000 US a year. I know when I eventually went to ITT Tech, it was $40,000 a year. Imagine them handing me the damn check. Let me see if I got an example. Do I got something around here? No. Let's pretend this is my $40,000 tuition check. Imagine them sending it to me, writing my name on it, and it's not designated for nothing. Here you go, Gina. $40,000. Some of you guys went to more prestigious schools, Ivy League, whatever. Your school was $50,000. Some of you guys have $150,000 plus. Some of you PhD holders, doctors. Imagine Sally Mae, Capital One, Bank of America, Chase, whoever, giving you that check to do with it as you please. Huh? Will never happen. That's why these loans send the money directly to your university, because they want to make sure it's going to the school, not to your pockets. Does it make any sense at all that the West keeps giving aid money to Africa and not overseeing how that money is being used? Does it make sense that the Salvation Army and the American Red Cross and Oxfam from UK have been doing charity work and initiatives and missionary and all that stuff here for decades, and Diddley Squat has been impacted? Huh? They gonna give the little kids a bottle of water. I used to see those commercials back in the day when they would be like, sponsor a kid in Africa. And I'm like, so wait a minute. You're going to go out there and pick a kid. You're going to maybe see a group of starving kids and you're going to say, hey, Muhammad, come here. You got to sponsor. The rest of y'all didn't get sponsored this month. We're going to provide you 3 square meals and the rest of y'all, you're on your own. Why wouldn't they teach them how to farm or fish? Why wouldn't they put infrastructure in? Why wouldn't they, get fresh water, boreholes, and, make them self-sufficient? No, that's never been the plan, guys. So all these immigrants in your location, turn down the hostility because your government is overseeing it. Your government desires it. Your government is creating the environment for it to happen. It's not their fault. Don't be hating on the immigrants. They don't know what the hell's going on. All they know is they're experiencing harsh economic times in their nation, and they're going to go to the Western world and get a steady job. They're going to be able to, become a cleaner, bus driver, work in these nursing homes, whatever. And to them, they're excited. To them, what isn't money to the American? What isn't money to the British? What isn't cutting it? What is not making ends meet? It's a lot of money to a foreign person that's coming there. Big shout out to the African superstar family. Mr. Antonio Mice, he said it all. The whole system is set up like this. African deprivation. It's really, I'm not getting into politics or anything, but I really think I could solve problems. I don't think that it takes rocket science to figure out how to pour a road. I really don't. Here in Ghana, they build churches every day. But y'all don't know how to build schools or hospitals. I don't know. I think the power issues here could be solved with solar. Why are we doing hydro? Why are we doing a grid where the city has double, tripled since that grid was built, and it cannot, it doesn't have the capacity to fuel this population? Why are we not employing the young people to figure these things out, improve these things, give them jobs, create economy? Because they're meant to go abroad and do this here dirty work. Because guess what? You Americans don't want to do dirty work. You British don't want to do the dirty work. Who's going to do it? If the immigrants ain't there and y'all ain't going to do it, who's going to do it? Did you ever think about that? Huh? Who's going to build the infrastructure cheaply like the Mexicans do? Huh? Who's going to work 7 days a week, night shifts, double, triple, shifts? You can always call Ahmed. He'll come in no matter what. Who's going to do the taxi driving? Y'all Americans too good for that now? Hello? It's better to bring in an immigrant who's completely green. They don't know the dangers of Americans, how violent it is. So they're going to go out there and do the taxi driving. They're going to work at night because they just want the money. You see, it's all strategic. Hello, wake up. Big shout outs to the African superstar family. Big shout outs to Miss T and Nicole. I see you there. MP says mining without providing protective equipment. This whole illegal mining thing, again, it's a scam. It's complete, utter BS. Because that is an industry right then and there where locals could be actually working and doing legal mining. Why? Why is there not security to prevent illegal mining? Why is there not water purification companies to deal with, whatever? Like I said, I don't know how mining goes, but I know that there's probably a way to do mining which does not negatively impact the environment. Why aren't they doing correct mining? Hello? There's so many things here in Ghana that would create industry, that would create jobs. But hey, they don't want to create jobs. They don't want Ghanaians to be comfortable here. They don't want Nigerians to be comfortable in their country, because if they are, there won't be anybody to do that cheap labor in America, in the UK, in Germany, in France, in Australia, in Canada, in Italy. They need the immigrants. Don't get it twisted, guys. Don't ever get it twisted. You see, and the Western world is so good with smoke and mirrors. Let's go ahead and recruit these immigrants. Obviously, Americans, Americans will never talk to continental Africans to actually converse and, figure out what we're up to. So let's actually recruit them in, bring them here, and then act like they just walked up in here by themselves. I mean, I hate to say it, but you're really a dummy if you think that hundreds of thousands of immigrants are in the country illegally just by chance. And they just slip through the freaking cracks. I mean, honestly. Like I said, I do realize that some people do go through, come from the Mexican border and come from the Canadian border. But what about all these people from across the world that have to fly and have to, come on. It's completely unrealistic to think that all these thousands of people are coming into the country without knowledge that they're coming there. Because honestly, y'all should be worried about, enemy threats if it's like that. If America's borders are that weak, y'all should really be worried. Because that means anybody can get up in there. And yet again, look at the facts. America invests billions into its military each year. So they invest billions, but border control, which is part of, it's a faction of the military and protection, is failing, obviously, if hundreds of thousands of people are slipping through its borders. This is not making sense if you look at it critically. So you would have to deduce that there's some BS going on because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Big shout outs to the African superstar family. What's up, guys? I'm in the building. Mimi says, right, and think we're lazy and all on drugs. Tia says, I'm in Chicago, and they didn't hear about that in Mexico. I have my temporary residency and live there part-time. They think it's all rainbows and unicorns, that we have money. She's talking about how the Mexicans are completely oblivious about what's happening in America. The problems. And that's why it's even jarring for Africans when they come to America, for instance, and they start getting all this like negativity from the local people, and they're thinking like, wait a minute, I'm on a scholarship. I was invited here. I went through immigration. I got my visa. And what's all this? Because I remember I had to tell my mom, I actually showed her, I actually did a screen recording of one of the ads that was running here in Ghana, recruiting people to come to America. And guess what kind of ad it was? Guess what, guys? It was white people on the ad. Are you in Ghana? Are you in Nigeria? Have you thought about continuing your education in America? There's a lot of unskilled labor. You don't even need a degree to come here. Yes. So basically, they're playing both sides of the fence, guys. They're playing both sides of the fence, as they always do. And a lot of smoke and mirrors and sprinkles and dry ice and all that kind of stuff, and pitting, people against each other that shouldn't be against each other. You know what I mean? We shouldn't have any animosity towards these immigrants, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because hey, they got their some type of way. And also, since another indicator, another red flag that the government is behind it all, is they're giving them all these perks. So let's be honest here, guys. Let's think about it. These immigrants have somehow gotten past our border control in America. Okay. So we're admitting that, hey, our military is defunct. Our border control is inadequate because they are allowing somehow hundreds of thousands of people to penetrate the country, number one. Once they get in the country, our government turns around and gives them accommodations. And you guys don't think that the U.S. government is there? How about the U.S. government deport? Wouldn't that be cheaper to deport them? Deport them instead of giving them, stipends, rent for the year, health care, this, that. Yeah, they want them there. They knew they were coming. They made provisions. Yeah. Hello. Big shout out to the African superstar family. What's up, Kim? I see you. Mimi said, I had an argument with a Ghanaian here in Oakland. MP said, literally had a conversation today regarding this. They recruit them the way they recruit us in high school for the military. Facts. Big shout outs to the family. Mimi says, a few of my Lyft drivers have not been the person either. All of them from Central America. Think about it, guys. They come to the U.S. They don't even know how to speak English. I'm not knocking them, but let's be real. How will they be able to navigate and understand what's going on with the language barriers? They want cheap labor. That's what they want, guys. They want cheap labor. They want people that are eager to do the cheap labor. And so because, again, the deprivation that goes on in these countries, in what they have designated the third world, it sets the whole stage for this. And if you were over here in Africa, or you go to Latin America, you go to Mexico, you see the way that the media portrays the West, the way the education portrays it, the way that they are soliciting these foreigners, to come to their nations. I mean, it's like it's all strategic. Kim says China and India are coming to Africa. Big shout outs. What's up? What's up? What's up? Big shout outs to the family. MP says an email waiting for you when you return to break up those group lunches. Yeah, I talked about how, white people essentially they can't handle autonomous Black happiness. When we are, we live among ourselves and we're functioning well, they can't stand it. They got to always be involved. And that's another reason that they don't want us to live our best lives here in Africa. That's why they've never promoted the diaspora to return. Again, if they didn't want us there, guys, if they didn't want us there, there are lots of ways to do this. Okay, but they want us there for their own particular premise. They have reasons why they want us there or need to be in proximity of us. That's why they refuse to allow us to thrive autonomously in our motherland. And real leaders that have wanted to do that have been eliminated, or threats on their life, or multiple threats on their life. Big shout out to the family. Yes. Kim says, again, like I said, Ghanaians here, my neighbor that's traveling, she couldn't even be more excited to go to the UK. And I mean, I didn't rain on her parade. I just tried to educate her about some things that I know are going to be culture shocks for her. She's lived in Ghana her whole life. She's a tropical girl. She's never experienced cold weather. She's never experienced racism. It's just like, wow. And I mean, she knows nothing. She knows literally nothing about what to expect. And so it's wild. It's wild. I mean, it's brainwashing at its finest. But what I want to tell you guys is you might want to just take a little bit of time to understand these folks. When I lived in the UK and I worked at the psychiatric hospital, I was talking about this earlier, and I started interacting with all type of different Africans that I had never met before. I met South Africans, I met Kenyans, I met people from Malawi, I met people from Zambia. And I had never met any of them, you know, in the US before. And I would ask them, "Oh, what's your educational background?" "Oh, I studied psychology in Zambia." "Oh, I was an investment banker in Ghana." "Oh, I did this, I did that, I did accounting." And yet all of us were working in this psychiatric hospital because they won't take our education. Like I said, Africans coming to the West, between 85 to 90% of them already have collegiate education under their belt. So if the UK had to honor their degrees, who would be doing these low class jobs? Who would be? Who would be doing them? So again, it's a railroad. You know what I mean? It's putting you in a certain path to do what they want you to do. You know, and from what I understand, in some other countries like China and Germany, they make it very clear, as a foreigner, you're going, you this is the limit that you can do. You can do this limit and that's it. The rest of the higher echelon jobs, that's for our citizens. You cannot do that as a foreigner. You know what I mean? And I mean, it just couldn't be any more obvious. And obviously, they get them so excited to migrate from here, and their hopes are bright. And, you know, they think that all their dreams are going to come true, only to get there and then be doing these rent jobs. Get into the rat race, become a slave, you know, get into the debt trap and all of that. Big shout outs. What's up? What's up? What's up? Tia says, in Mexico, we're just millionaires and that are from the States. Kim says, does their government withhold information via the internet, TV, and papers? Well, I mean, just from what I've seen, their news outlets just do not cover certain stories. Certain things that should totally be international news, they just do not show. Like, for instance, the fentanyl crisis. Nobody here in Ghana knows anything about that. The gun violence, the mass shootings, they have no idea. Like I said, police brutality, they think George Floyd was an isolated event. You know what I mean? They have no idea that it happens on a frequent basis. The racial construct, the chemically modified foods, you know, they don't even know that Americans are leaving the West in record numbers and moving to new countries. And they're just like completely oblivious, because I always ask them, I said, do you notice how many foreigners are coming to Ghana? And they're just like, oh yeah, well, you guys made a lot of money in America and now you are here. And I'm like, no, the quality of life is poor. That's why Americans are leaving. And now consequently, because Westerners are leaving and moving to other countries, they are now providing more visas than ever and recruiting, you know, foreigners to come and take our place. You know? So, I mean, I think that social media has actually been the catalyst. You know, social media has been what has allowed some level of exposure to continentals. But the thing is that here in Ghana, you know, people are not so much inclined to constantly be on their phones. You know, here in Ghana, for instance, you have to pay for your data. So people are not going to sit down and watch a long YouTube video. They're not on their phones 24/7, you know, researching information the way that we are. So even though some information is available, like for instance on YouTube or the internet or TikTok, you know, they're only seeing bits and pieces of it because it's not mainstream news here. You know what I mean? They obviously don't want to do anything here in Ghana to deter the Western love and the Western fantasy. So obviously Ghana is in bed with the US government, for instance. You know, our current leadership is in bed with them. And because they send all that money that gets embezzled through the government, you know, the government's going to do what in the US interests as far as whatever. They're not going to. Now, I'm pretty sure that in Burkina Faso and those other countries that, you know, did the coup, I'm pretty sure that they are making sure that their people are abreast of international affairs. I'm pretty sure that they are. But now they're running stuff and they're controlling stuff. So it's going to be their way or the highway. But when the West is funding, you know, these various nations, in different ways, they're in control, basically. You know, big shout outs. All right, Brown Coat Blue, I see you there. Yes, yes, yes. Kim says they will get a taste of racism as soon as they land. Absolutely. And actually, it's so stunning to them. I remember I was talking to a Cameroonian when I was in Ohio, and she told me, you know, it wasn't until much later she realized that some things were insults that people were saying to her. Some things were just like she didn't understand what they were saying. They were being maybe sarcastic or they were using slang. And she didn't realize until she had been in the country a while. And then she realized, like, oh my gosh, you know, they were being rude or they were being condescending and things like that. So a lot of times, I mean, you got to think about it. You're talking about adult people who have lived their whole lives without white people. I mean, such a luxury. People here don't even they don't even know the luxury of not being around it. But they have literally spent their whole lives without systematic racism, without police brutality, without prejudice, without, you know, they have not encountered it at all. So it's, you know, they wouldn't know. It would be like me going to France and people are speaking French around me and I'm just smiling. I'm like, oh, you know, I don't know what the hell they're saying. Maybe they're saying they don't like me or I'm fat or whatever they're saying. I have no idea. So I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay. And then later on, 2 weeks later, I learned this French word and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's insulting. I didn't even know. You know? So it's the same way. Big shout outs. What's up? What's up? Rokoya, I see you there. Big shout outs to my moderators. Thank you, sweetheart, for stopping by. For now, I believe so. I don't know what the future holds. I mean, she hasn't talked about returning to Ghana or, oh, I want to go for a short period of time. She's not going for a visit. She is going to be there. So yeah, she's going to the UK. Big shout outs to the family. What's up, Marie Shai? I see you there in the building. Yes, yes, yes. Kim said they sent a bunch of Africans to Arkansas. Of all, is that Arkansas or is that Alaska? That should be Arkansas. Woo, woo. Sorry, guys. I've been out the country for a minute. I think that's Arkansas. They sent a bunch of Africans to Arkansas, of all places, but desperation causes misled people. Big shots. What's up, family? MP says we're all used in different ways. Facts, guys. They don't have no love for us. Okay, whatever interactions we have with them, it's for their benefit. It's never for our benefit. They never say, "Oh yeah, you know, we need to do the right thing. We need to look out. We need to, you know, we have abused these people. We owe these people. We should hook them up. We should help them out. We should give them a competitive advantage." Never. So whatever they're offering, guys, they're offering you something on a silver platter. Yeah, no, it probably has poison in it. Think about it. Okay, shout outs. Yes, Kim says it's called the brain drain. Absolutely. That's another thing. They come to universities here. They recruit, you know, the top students to go get scholarships and go abroad. Yeah, they want the best and brightest working on their team. Okay, it's not for the student. It's not because, oh yeah, we want the Ghanaian scholar to be in the UK. No, they got uses for you. Big shout outs to the family. Marie says yes. She's talking about the Africans in the healthcare. Yes. And that's another thing. Over here, they will be advertising. We need nurses in the UK. We need nurses in Canada. You know, so people will go into that field, even if they don't like it, just to go, just to travel. Okay, they're not saying, hey, we need psychiatrists, we need, you know, investment bankers, we need, no, they don't want that. Okay, they want you to do the jobs that nobody else wants to do. That's the facts. Big shout outs to the African superstar family. Marie says there's a lot of Haitians and Africans at my workplace and get along. Yeah, because the immigrants just want to come and get money. You know, they're not there for that smoke. So when they come into that environment and they don't even have an idea about the whole dynamics, they don't know that they're getting preferential treatment over the Americans. How would they know that? Now, Americans know that, oh, wait a minute, these people are coming here, they're getting in here tax-free, they're getting all these perks, but the immigrant has no idea. You know, and I mean, I honestly believe, because like I said, there's plenty of people from nations you've never met. Okay? And you've never met them because they're content in their own countries. They have a good quality of life in their own countries. You know, you're crazy if you think immigrants enjoy coming to America where they don't know the language, they don't know the culture, they're away from their family, they're away from their, you know, food. Huh? They came from a tropical, beautiful environment. Now they're in Arkansas and Ohio. You're crazy if you think that's what they are there for. Okay, they are there because of economics, most cases, or you know, due to conflicts or unrest in their countries. If you actually talk to them, some of them will tell you how they miss home and how they wish they can go home and how they didn't know what the West was like or whatever. But hey, their family's dependent on them. They've got cousins in school or sisters and brothers and all this stuff. It's based on economics, guys. And that destabilization in their countries, a lot of time, is connected to the West. The West is behind it. For instance, what's going on in Congo? The West is behind it because the West keeps mining there and destroying their country and not sharing the wealth with the local community, having them in crazy conditions while they're taking all the resources. Okay? They leave them no choice but to seek greener pastures because their home environment is not, you know, inhabitable. Now, that's not necessarily the case here in Ghana. Ghana is one of the more progressive countries, definitely in West Africa, but across the whole continent. What goes on here is, you know, the economic, the waste, the corruption, and then the brainwashing that makes Ghanaians want to go see, you know, wants to move somewhere else. They think it's just like, oh my God. Until they get out there, then they see, oh my gosh. That's, you know, but then of course it's always too late. And of course they've invested so much by then, they just gotta roll with it. Big shout outs to the family. Kim says lots of Nigerian, Ethiopians, and Ghanaian doctors and RNs in the US. Big shout outs. What's up? What's up? Tia says, I semi-retired from anesthesia and I heard about that often. Big shout outs to you. Ken says we get lots of Filipinos and Indians in healthcare for green cards in America. Ken said, I saw a Nigerian girl on Instagram today asking people to stop flexing when they are struggling in America. Facts. Alex says, African immigrants also work as Uber and bus drivers in the UK. Third trivia question. Have you had an African Uber driver or Lyft? Huh? Or immigrant? Have you? They're so common. The taxi drivers, bus drivers, whatever drivers, medical vehicle drivers, it's so common for them to be an immigrant in America, in UK. So common. Big shout out to the African superstar family. And Mr. Alex, big shout out to you. SMP, our mission statement. Wow, Alex, we got all the way to a whole hour and you're the first one who mentioned it. Special shout outs to Alex for mentioning our mission statement. Strategy, maturity, and patience. Big shout outs to you. Marie says, I am definitely understanding and learning more things now as time passed, and it's very sad. Yeah, they're playing all of us. They're playing all of us and absolving themselves, the guilty ass party. They are facilitating this stuff. You look at what goes on across the continent. They're involved in all of it. Okay? Because of all the mineral resources, because of all the money that's involved. Okay, they don't want to pay African nations market value for these resources, so they got to take them on the low. They got to do illegal. So they get into bribery and corruption. Okay, so they create it. And after making things really difficult in their nation, they then go and recruit them to come and do cheap labor in the Western world so that these big companies can keep on making the profits. Big shout outs. African God, is good to see you. She says, a white American friend of mine with a long career in humanitarian works in Uganda admitted she enjoyed the lifestyle but knew it did nothing for the locals. Woo-wee! Girl, you be always coming in here dropping them bombs. I told you, listen, these charities, they are full of it. They're doing nothing. All these NGOs, it don't take 30 years to solve some of these problems, guys. It really doesn't. It doesn't take. And do you know how much money these charities get? In the millions. Millions. And guess what? You have currency exchange over here, which means a little bit goes a long way. So you're not telling me out of the millions of dollars that these charities have got, who is policing the charities? Who's also monitoring the charities to see what they're doing, to see that they are actually fulfilling their initiatives? Huh? Those of us that live in Africa know what the hell $1 million could do if it was actually applied. If it was actually applied to a cause here on the continent, $1 million would do a world of good work. A world of good work. I mean, that's actually $1 million US. Let me tell y'all how many CDs that is. Big shout out to the family. Guys, we have over 40 of you. Can I get some super chat support in this room? Come on. Like the stream. What's up? You guys just come to watch me? No. Be an active part of what I'm saying here today. Because for some of you guys, you haven't really thought about it. And I'm reminding you, yeah, your government is behind all of this stuff. All right, let's see how much is $1 million in Ghana CDs? What? Let's see here. How much is 1 million USD in Ghana CDs? Google doesn't want to tell me. Okay, so 1 million US equals, is that right? Let me see. 15,885,000 Ghana CDs. That's how much money. So you want to tell me you can't get some roads built, you can't build a school, you can't build a hospital with that. That's just 1 million. Now, I'm pretty sure that these charities, let's see, how much, let's see, how much money, Salvation. We're going to see if Google is even going to be honest and tell me how much money Salvation Army raised for Africa since, let's see, 1983. I'm just going to say since my whole lifetime. Big shout out to the family. Thank you, ATM International, for the first super chat. Thank you, because I mean we got over 30 of y'all. Hello, y'all need to do the necessary. Sorry, I'll be coming here. Let's make it for real. Oh my God, the Salvation Army is the 4th largest charity in the United States, with private donations in excess of US $2 billion in 2022 alone. Oh my God. As September 2024, the Salvation Army's annual revenue reached $501 billion. So these charities ain't doing diddly squat. These charities are not doing anything over here. I would say if you guys have causes over here that you want to invest in, do it. Send that money directly to the cause, or actually come and take care of it yourself. If you want to build a school, you want to do some roads or something, come and do it yourself, because these charities are not doing well with their resources. They're not. They're squandering that money. Okay, the CEO and the board directors and everybody, I'm sure they're making six figures over Salvation Army. And the people that they're collecting money on behalf is not even getting it. Big shout out to the African superstar family. Wow. Unbelievable. MP says selling the dream 100%. Facts. African Goddess says, don't you think if they paid locals more, they would do the work? 100%. In some cases, people here on the continent, their jobs may not even pay them every month. Sometimes payroll gets backed up. I remember a friend of mine who worked for the airport a year ago. He told me that in 6 months he hadn't been paid. 6 months he hadn't been paid. And that's an airport job here in Ghana. So, I was like, how are you even managing? How are you even surviving? And he's like, in a way, it's really not that bad, because when you actually get your pay, it's going to be a lump sum, so you can do a lot more stuff with it. So, my thing is, okay, again, if these charities were actually doing projects, if they were actually doing, whatever they're supposed to be doing, again, it would benefit. It would benefit. There's so many things here in Ghana that need doing, like beach beautification, recycling, infrastructure, roads. You know what I mean? So many job opportunities here, but that's not where the money's going, and that's not what the interest is not even there to provide that stuff. All right, family. Big shout outs to the African superstar family. Tia says the government is not looking out for us in any way. Learn to provide for yourselves. Look at how they're handling oh, girl, don't even get me started. Do not get me started with the hurricane stuff. That is crazy. Big shout outs. What's up? What's up? African Goddess said, some time ago, I had to deal with the top official in Ghana. It was a nightmare. Later, I found out she did not have the qualifications or experience for the post. Oh, boy. All right, family. I'm getting through these comments. Make sure if you're enjoying the conversation today, please like the stream, support the stream as well. Kim says Hurricane Helene came at a bad time because the USA about to go help mommy Israel. They're prioritizing. Well, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's just like, it couldn't even be any more blatant that the U.S. government does not have Americans in mind at all. Like, it's not funny, because it's terrible. Because this is the time when you're supposed to activate. You know what I mean? An emergency like this. And that hurricane was very devastating. I've been actually watching a lot of the clips and stuff on that, like people's home videos and whatnot of their area in North Carolina, and it's absolutely devastating, completely crazy. But then again, I'm just trying to say, I'm not trying to be funny, but y'all know they took out Javion, right? That boy that got hung up on the tree, that was in Henderson, North Carolina, and this hurricane went inland and it hit Henderson. Now, is that coincidence? I don't know. Or did the ancestors say, okay, something got to go down because you guys are way out of hand? You know what I mean? My hands are off of it if it's karma. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Thank you so much, Mimi Roberts, for that super chat, sweetheart. I appreciate the support. Yes, thank you so much, because, we had a lot of people here watching. and only a couple people getting involved with the support. I appreciate you. ATM International says Chinese migrants, terrorists, Mexicans, and so much more is coming in every day in America. Then again, somebody's not doing their job. What's up with border? What is up with border? Again, U.S. sends money to Israel. U.S. sends money to Ukraine. Your borders are wide open, apparently. Because if all these immigrants are coming in the country and you're not involved in their process of them getting there, then that means your border control, immigration, all that is, excuse my language, is shitty. It's not up to par. Because they got one job. That's what border is for. That's what immigration is for. Big shout out. Thank you so much. Kim, I see you there. Much love to my super chat donors. Yes, you guys are in the building and much appreciated. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Yeah, I know. This hurricane nonsense. They didn't look out for Katrina victims either. Mimi's talking about these charities getting buku bucks and doing diddly squat with that money. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I don't know. But African Goddess said, hey, the lady said, hey, she's living a good lifestyle, but she knows she's not making an impact, but she don't care. But then again, hey, wake up call. Do white people care about Africa? Do they care about Africans? Do they care about our living conditions? At the end of the day, they're running these charities. Do we really expect anything out of them? I mean, let's be real. At the end of the day, what's brilliant about it is, okay, let's create the facade that we're going to do something. And then we're actually going to fat cat get rich off of it. And we're not going to help these locals. We're just going to embezzle all the money. But because it's for a positive cause, nobody's going to check us. Nobody's going to police us. Nobody's going to come over here to Africa and say, yo, what's up? You guys collected $501 billion this year for charity work. We can't see anything that you're doing. Big shout out to the African superstar family. All right. Mimi says, we can see it doesn't take that long. Look at Burkina in months. Facts. It don't take that long. Big shout outs. What's up? Ms. Dickerson says, I've been trying to figure that out for the longest time. Yeah, these charities are not doing anything. That too. Kim's talking about the sex tourism. I keep telling y'all, listen, some of you guys do not want to accept it. Whenever white people are dealing with us, they have a purpose. Okay, either they're capitalizing, they're fetishizing, they need this, they need that, and it's always for their benefit. It's not for ours. Okay, if they're going to make, $1,000, they're going to offer us $10 out of that, and that's how skewed it is. Because, quite frankly, Africa could do business with Europe, with America. Even if they said, okay, you know what, look, we got the infrastructure, we got the machinery, we got the manufacturing, but you guys have the resources. All right, let's do a, 60-40 split. You guys can take that money and develop your nations, and, your people will be able to survive with that. And we're going to be able to get these resources. But they don't want to do good business, guys. There's nothing like moral, there's nothing, that whole concept of equality, that's our concept. That's not their concept. Okay. You look through history and you see the way that their societies have always been structured. It's always been a king, queen, president, somebody on top, and then what? The peasants. Hello. The working class. You know, and talk about greed, talk about some of these kings and stuff, like the absorbent type of wealth that they have had and controlled while they've watched people suffer, die, starvation, famine hit their countries, and they don't give a damn. That's how they rolling. That's how they think. They're not communal the way our people are. They're not like, okay, let's, you know, we can spread this out and we can share. No. Theirs is theirs and yours is theirs. That's how they see it. 100%. African Goddess says they were involved in Haiti too. Kim says Mexicans do DoorDash and Uber. Look, immigrants do whatever it gotta take. Whatever is available, they're gonna do. Because like I said, like the title of this live stream, African deprivation, we can change that, you know, that participle, Mexican deprivation, Haitian deprivation, wherever they're coming from. Okay? Because it's the same model around the world. You see that America has sanctions against a lot of these countries, won't do trade with a lot of these countries. They are trying to starve them economically. And when people are starved economically, that makes them have to look outside of their demographics in order to progress and survive. And because they are taking and extracting wealth from all these countries and hoarding it in their country, it's like, yeah, come here, come here, come here, come here. And then again, like I said, they're advertising, so they're recruiting. Big shout out to the family. I may have missed some of your comments, guys. Please forgive me because this has gone a little bit long. Yes. Big shout out to the African Superstar family. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody for like being in the chat today. We had a lot of comments and a lot of engagement, which I really appreciate. Thank you. And super special shout outs to, again, my super chat donors, Mr. ATM Tim or ATM International, Miss Mimi Roberts, Miss Kim. Much love to you guys. Thank you so much. Yes. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. I hope some of you guys that were not clear about how this whole thing works now have a little bit of insight. I would encourage you to do your research and, of course, do critical thinking, because it really just doesn't make sense, does it? That it's working out the way that they're telling it, okay? These Western governments are behind this immigration phenomenon that's happening in their countries. They're also simultaneously behind the destabilization of all these economies in the world, you know, these problematic areas and all of this. They're always somehow involved. Okay? And so they're playing both sides of the coin and playing me and you too. You know, so take a little time out and maybe ask these people what's going on. And that will give you some insight as to, you know, what's going on. The immigrants in America, they don't know what is happening. They've been recruited and they're being accommodated in America, and they think it's a place to be. They've been getting this kind of brainwashing probably their whole life about America being the land of opportunity and all this stuff. And that's how they see it, you know? So until we start talking and communicating with each other and realizing that, wait a minute, we have a common enemy, this enemy is playing us, then we're going to be mad at the wrong people. All right, family. Much love to the African Superstar family. Shameless plug. Make sure you guys check out my musical catalog. Hello. I hope you guys have Iconic in your collection. If you don't, you can go to bandcamp.com. Check out my whole musical catalog. I'm getting ready to release a new song soon. Yes. So if you want to be updated on when I bring out new music, you can also join our fan club at Bandcamp. You just need to hit the follow button, and then anytime there's a release, you will be notified. Okay, family? All right. Big shout out to the African Superstar family. I love you guys. I'll see you guys again soon. Until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.